질문시 시비에
Welcome to the Sunday morning meditation. We're going to do a call and response and just really feel comfortable. And you know, when it comes to time with the silence, it's okay if you want to like lay down on the pew or something to really get, really relaxed. We got the space and it's wonderful while we have it. And so, feel free to do that or you remain sitting. But you want to get yourself so you don't have to think about your body. Okay, let's go. I sense the stillness inside of me. loving me, loving me. Be still and know God. Be still and know God. I feel the presence within me. Be still and know God. Calling me, calling me. I serve the force that begins me. Loving me, loving me. Be still and know God. 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 I join the oneness around me. Be still and know God. Calling me, calling me. I feel the love around me. Loving me, loving me. Be still and know God. Be still and know God. Calling me, calling me. I serve the force that begins me. Loving me, loving me. I join the oneness around me. Be still and know God. Calling me, calling me. I feel the love around me. Loving me, loving me. Be still and know God. Loving me, loving me. I sense the stillness around me. Loving me, loving me. Be still and know God. Loving me, loving me. Be still and know God. Be still and know God.
Good morning, everyone. This is the 5th Revelation talk in the series, The Flaw in A Course in Miracles. In the ad for today's talk, I spotlighted the somewhat concerning advancements in artificial intelligence. Today's title on this talk could be Intuition, Our Saving Grace. As most of you know and are hearing about a lot lately, the advancement in artificial intelligence has become extraordinary to a place where we now have artificial intelligence that is definitely smarter than human beings. And I'll tell you this, this all became apparent to me many, many years ago, maybe about 10 years ago. Maybe you remember it. They had a computer that they designed to play chess. And the then world champion chess player, the name of the computer was Big Blue. And the world champion chess player played Big Blue and won the first game. But no champion chess player has ever beaten Big Blue again. So we are watching something take place, and for most of us, it's beyond anything we can actually understand, because we have computer programs that can write entire essays from a suggested subject. They can write plays, that can write movies, can write novels, entire novels. If you just give it the go-ahead and the command, and you give it the subject that you want it to be about. This is amazing stuff. Recently, the writers' strike, the Hollywood writers' strike, among the demands the writers made to the producers and to the studios was that they would not legally be able to replace them with advanced or artificial intelligence, because it's become so sophisticated. The artificial intelligence has become so sophisticated that it can actually write movies, entire TV series. And so let me tell you about another chess experience. In my early manhood, just trying to survive in New York as a writer, I had to take a job as a medical aid in the Manhattan Bowery Project. The Manhattan Bowery Project was an ad hoc project put together by the city of New York to try to help destitute Bowery alcoholics. These were guys that were laying out in the street in the Bowery. They had everything wrong with them. They really were on a suicide mission. But they set up this old building, and they had these young doctors volunteer. They painted the place, and they put an entire ward of hospital beds that were donated by other hospitals. And I went to work there as a medical aid, and it was a miserable job. You can read about it in my book. But while we were there, besides having to carry these guys sometimes into the shower and shower them, well, you had to cut their clothes off and shower them and de-lice them. Can you imagine that job paid, like at that time was a lot of money. It was $6 an hour. But we had to do that for those that were brought up from the street. And most of these guys were already out of their mind. They were drinking anything they could get their hands on, you know, nail polish, Sterno. They just wanted to destroy their awareness of their misery, whatever it was. But they'd put them in the hospital beds, they'd dry them out. They would spend a week there taking medications that would help them through they all had the DTs, the terrible thing that happens to you when your body is totally addicted to alcohol. So they would have to give them drugs to get them through that period of time, 7 days in that hospital. But the medical aides, beside their job of cleaning them up, were instructed to commune with them and to play checkers with them or cards, and on some rare occasions, chess. And you can understand something. Some of these people, and it was all guys, there were no women at that time in that situation. I don't know why, maybe there was no other separate place for women. They just were all guys that we had up there, 30 or so in that ward. And we were instructed to play games with them and keep them interested. And as I said, on a rare occasion, there was somebody there that played chess, but you should understand that some of the people there actually had high-powered positions in their life at one time. When you started to talk to them, you found out they were executives. They made a lot of money, but they had too many martinis for lunch and then too many afterwards. And then finally, this whole thing led to them losing their families and winding up just drinking their way in their sorrow into a place in the Bowery where they were drinking themselves to death in whatever way they could. There was a young kid that worked as a medical aide there with me, whose name was Richard, and he was 17 years old. Most medical aides didn't last more than a few weeks, but he was there. And one day, I was passing by through the ward doing the work that I had to do. You still had to make the beds and do all that stuff, and I saw him playing chess with one of the patients. And of course, I watched him destroy this guy in chess. I had to go about my duties, but I watched that take place. And I came back, and he was destroying this guy again. This guy finally walked away from the table, and there was another guy there said, no, let me do it. So another guy sat down to play against this kid, which I found out later he came in second as the junior chess champion in New York City. And he started to play this new guy, and as soon as he very quickly took the guy's bishop off the board, the guy said, well, I can't win. And I said, well, let me sit down. And I don't know why I said that. I didn't know at that time that he was a chess champion. And I'm not a chess champion. I'm not even an avid chess player. I knew the rudiments of chess. As strange as it is, there was a guy that ran a barbershop in this really bad area where we hung out as kids around this candy store. And he would bring us in and teach us how to play chess. I'm talking about when we were like 9, 10 years old. So I learned the rudiments of playing chess. And on occasion in the Army, when they finally restricted me from ever playing poker on the weekends, my company commander said, no way, I couldn't play poker anymore. Of course, he thought, anyway, I'm going to go into that story. I would play a friend who I knew in the Army. Occasionally I'd play some chess with him, but I don't have any kind of real understanding of the game. But in that time, I sat down at that table. I don't know what impelled me to do that. And I took on this game that was already missing the bishop, and I won that game. I don't know how it was, but I had an awareness that I was 4 or 5 moves ahead of that game. I mean, I could have been playing championship chess the way this game was coming through me. And of course, Richard had to play a second game. He couldn't possibly believe that he lost to this nobody. And I beat him the second game again with this prescient knowledge. All I can say is that God was so fed up with Richard destroying these poor alcoholics that he just wanted to get to him. And that's what happened. So that's one of the amazing things. I've had experiences like that, not in chess, but like that over my life since I got into the work. At the time, I was into the Edgar Cayce work and meditation and that. But those are events that let us know that there is a power greater than ourselves. And of course, you need to have some of those experiences to really enter into the security of knowing God. There's a security in knowing God, that you are an eternal being, and this presence, this intelligence, can move in you and through you and bring about some things that are extraordinary and bring you a peace that surpasses the understanding of the world. But I'm going to go on here very quickly to try to lay out to you some of the... Today there are artificial intelligent machines that can write medical journals and scientific journals on just about any subject. Of course, these particular machines have access to all the information that exists. They can access any computer anywhere that has medical information on it. And they can write entire journals, and they can be published. And they may wind up being published if the doctors and the medical people don't put some kind of a curb on that, as well as the people that were these writers in Hollywood that said there's no way you're going to be able to use artificial intelligence, because they'll all be out of work. And by the way, you should know something. About 6 years ago, when they had the Democratic debates for the presidency, among the debaters was this gentleman named Andrew Chang. I don't know, maybe he is a congressman or something, but he's a self-made billionaire. And he said something that stuck with me. He said, the biggest threat to humanity today, especially to the Western culture, is artificial intelligence. He said, there is no way, without the strongest legislation, that we are going to stop this artificial intelligence from taking over all the jobs and all the professions. Which is kind of startling, but he said, and we will have to be in a position where we will pay people $1,000 a month. These are his words, by the way, not exactly quoted, but exactly what he said. We'll pay people $1,000 a month to carry on in their lives and still be able to, I guess he's thinking, survive, if you can survive on $1,000 a month. But that was what he had to say. A very bright guy. He said that because he said artificial intelligence is going to take away all the jobs. And he knows, because he's involved in it and understands it. So in this whole concept, there is no stopping what I call the smart fools. The smart fools will continue to develop artificial intelligence, and they're at a place now where they're experimenting with getting this artificial intelligence, these robots, to think for themselves, where there will be no program necessary, no programming necessary. These artificial machines, this intelligence, will be able to analyze a present situation and decide what's the best way to deal with it. That's going to happen, by the way, because you can't stop the ego of these companies. And we're talking about Microsoft, we're talking about Google, we're talking about the major multi-billion-dollar corps that have the ability to develop this stuff. It's all about being first and making the huge amount of money they think they're going to make, while they completely sunder human awareness, human inspiration. I guess it doesn't register to them that if you're creating machines that can think for themselves, have you not seen any of the horror movies? I mean, let's get on with it here. That's why I call them the smart fools of this particular, aspect of creation. Because they're going into major folly. You see in the movies, the best of them, I think, was 2001 Space Odyssey, where the computer aboard the spacecraft has decided to take over the mission. Of course, in that particular film, the astronaut prevails, but we're at a place now where there's a real danger. This is not going to happen. If we keep going this way, we're going to wind up in that condition that these horror movies have, in which the computers realize that humans are terribly inefficient at solving problems, that they're actually stupid, and that they are actually expendable. So I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because I have to. I get paid to say something every week. And so maybe I've run out of things to say. But maybe it's preparing you as well. I think we're all being prepared because the news media is on it now, big time, talking about these major, smart fools are saying things like, you got to legislate us. The government has to legislate us, legislate what we do. It's like such a false thing that they're doing with that, because there's nothing that's going to stop them from trying to be the first, foremost, and richest of the robot creators. So then that brings us back to the truth that will never go away. Just as the words of the master of truth will never go away. And we go back even before the birth and life of Jesus Christ. And we see this truth being revealed in the Psalms. Can we have this first? You can read this in Psalms 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High, who abides in the awareness of the Almighty, will say of the Lord, my guide and my freedom, my God, in whom I trust. For God does deliver you from the snares of evil and from the deadly plagues, and in his being you will find peace. I have changed some of the words in this to make it more modern. They have some words we don't use very often, so it becomes more clear. But this is the essence of what it is saying. If one dwells in the secret place, that place that most of the world knows nothing of, is for the most part in denial of, in that secret place, you will find refuge for your consciousness. In other words, all the difficulties that may fall upon you in life can be handled from this higher level, the secret awareness, the presence of God. And of course, as I said, most of the world ignores it, doesn't pay attention to it. And that's been the case down through the ages. So we're still in that situation, but it doesn't really say that it precludes us from entering in the secret place of the Most High, where we will be protected from the evils of the world. But that's what is true. That's what the masters of life are attempting to get across to us. When you hear them speak or read their ideas, they are there only to inspire people to make the spiritual journey themselves. Because nothing anybody says, no matter how eloquently it is said, will convince anyone that the life that they are living in the thinking of the world is woefully limited. So nothing anybody is going to say is going to convince anyone. Only one's direct experience. So what is written and what is spoken of is merely to inspire people to get involved in opening their consciousness, their minds, to this higher level of awareness, which is referred to as God or the Holy Spirit or, nirvana. But to open ourselves up to that, and from personal experience, I will now tell you that when one opens himself or herself up to it, the very first thing that happens, that whatever difficulty you may be facing in your life, it is ameliorated. In other words, whatever difficulty you're facing, having entered that space, you have a mystical peace that flows through your awareness. Because there is with that awareness the understanding that you are an immortal soul. And this is just a tiny facet of life in the physical world. That's the absolute truth. And you see, I'm saying it to you, but does it register? I mean, basically because for years and years and years, the only thing we have been told and taught and raised to know is that, personal power, the intellect is going to make my life. I figure things out that'll make my life, the way I want it to be. So, as I said, what is said and expressed is only for the purpose of inspiring people to enter into that spiritual journey that requires meditation and a releasing of the trust in absolute objective awareness. Objective awareness is absolutely flawed. I mean, psychologists and psychiatrists and people of the medical profession have already said, they can prove it to you, that your perceptions are flawed by the collection of beliefs in your subconscious mind. You see life through a collection of beliefs, and those beliefs limit your awareness of life in its reality. But there is a place to go in this awareness and consciousness to the divine, more refined level of consciousness where you have an insight into life moment to moment to moment. That you live fearlessly moment to moment to moment because this consciousness of God is one with you and you are one with it. And so many masters have spoken about it in different ways down through the ages. Right now, we can take a look at, this is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Can we have this next PowerPoint from Emerson? This is from this book, The Gospel of Emerson. And the words he uses here for moral sentiment, the moral sentiment means, he's speaking about the higher awareness. It's a moral sentiment because it is God-guided. So that's how he uses that particular phrase. The lessons of the moral sentiment are, once for all, an emancipation from that anxiety which takes the joy out of all life. It teaches a great peace. It comes itself from the highest place. It is that which, being in all sound natures and strongest in the best and most gifted of men and women, we know to be implanted by the Creator of humanity. It is commandment at every moment and in every condition of life to do the duty of that moment and to abstain from doing the wrong. And it is so near and inward and constitutional to each that no commandment can compare with it in authority. All wise people regard it as the voice of the Creator himself. I'll just read this last part again, take a chance to take it in. It is a commandment at every moment and in every condition of life to do the duty of that moment. Right here, this ancient teacher, you see, is saying the same things that Eckhart Tolle is touting today in The Power of Now. And to abstain from doing the wrong. But how would you know that, the right and the wrong, in any given situation? This is the folly of the thinking of the world. They'll take computers and attempt to figure out something that can be done that will make assurances that you will be right. And whether it is starting a business or whether it is, I don't know, computing something to figure it out, whatever it is, it still will be less efficient in knowing the right and wrong of something. But what only can bring the insight of what in the moment is appropriate, what would be the right, perfect thing to do, and what would really be wrong? Only the omnipresent intelligence that he's referring to here, an intelligence that is so near and inward and constitutional to each that no commandment can compare with it in authority. All wise people regard it as the voice of the Creator himself. Again, another reference to the secret consciousness, secret only to the outer-directed, illusion-driven world, flying around in conflict, pain, sorrow, and war, because it has not yet awakened to the awareness of its Creator. And the one thing that will take place in your practice, which is necessary forever and for everyone, in your practice of spiritual awareness, you will arrive at a place where you will know without a shadow of a doubt that there is a greater intelligence of which you are only a part. You have a soul, it is eternal, but that soul is beholden to the greater intelligence that created the souls everywhere. And not only that, but with it comes an understanding that there is a healing to be had just by entering in that state of awareness immediately. There'll be insight that comes with it. And there'll be insight that's with you as you live your life and go about the duties of living. But there will be that understanding that there is a peace that Eckhart Tolle also refers to as joy, that immediately comes when you release the illusions and the grips that people have on this tiny false definition of self. It's minuscule, this personality self, by comparison to the creating self of God. So finally, oh, you're here already. Look at that. She actually teleports herself back and forth. There's no longer, because I usually hear the footsteps, but there aren't any anymore. Okay, so I suspect the reason why I spoke about this as being the saving grace, because A Course in Miracles refers to it, this presence, as grace. So entering into it brings you into a saving grace. And living from it, from a daily basis of understanding and being with it, living from it provides you with insights, moment to moment, to live in the presence without concerns for the past, which is gone, or the future, which is only imagined, but to be one with the creation ongoing, because that is God for you. At this time, in your personal experience, everything you're looking at and everything that's taking place around you is by divine appointment your present ability in consciousness. And so you can transcend that by beginning to take to task your own awareness. So we listen to this bowl. The sound can take us to this quiet place, letting go of the incessant thinking of the mind in its attempts to honor the illusionary definition of life and make things work better, bigger tomorrow than they have today. Can you imagine just being free enough to be here? Free enough to just be here, sitting here, not gaining anything, just sitting, allowing, not fearing, not wanting, not judging, not blaming, allowing, letting. Not fearing, not wanting, not judging, letting thy presence be known, O God. Not fearing, not wanting, not judging, letting thy presence be known, O God. As we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let us go forth with an expanded understanding that wherever we are, God is. For this understanding and opportunity to practice it, we give thanks. And to this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Those of you that are watching on live stream, you can tithe in any way here, but also you can scroll down to that place on our website that says donate, and it will give you the different ways you can donate. As we bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make and bring it into our hands, let's bless this gift with this offering prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. We will have our group discussion as usual in Fellowship Hall in the back on the dance floor. For those of you who'd like to stay, talk about anything to do with the talk today or unity in general. And we have refreshments in Fellowship Hall that you can partake of. Brian, raise your hand if it's Brian. I can hardly see you for sure. Okay. I need to talk to you right after this about something that you will know about. Okay? It's a good thing. Okay. And Dan Spahn, is that you? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good to see you back here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your phone call yesterday.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I tried to call back, but I missed you.
All right. So you're feeling better?
Much better, thank you.
All right. That's what it's about. Okay, do we have any other announcements to make?
We'll be out of town next week for 4 days, so that I will not have the Sacred Feminine at 12 noon on Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to get some R&R, some rest and relaxation
In New York City.
In New York.
Wait a second, that
Not exactly a meditation experience.
All right. Okay. So, we won't be here for the Wednesday meditation or the Sunday, right?
Right. And
Okay.
The bookstore has gifts that you would never find anywhere else in Boulder. I mean, they're like cards and little items that, you know, are the greatest spiritual gifts, so holy. So please check it out because it's laid out so well by our wonderful secretary. So,
And it even stays open when you guys are out of town.
right, it does.
Right.
All the time.
The next talk, I will declare to you actual miracle, at least one, maybe more, that's taking place. All right. Have a beautiful day.